Hello and welcome, dear lovers of nature photography from all over the world. It is fantastic to have you back with us on this wonderful evening. The award ceremony of the European Wildlife Photographer 2021 is just about to begin. There's nothing left to do. Everything is prepared, at least I hope so. I've got a bottle of champagne to start the celebrations right after the winners have been announced. So just sit back, relax and enjoy the show. It should start in a few seconds. Just 1 second. Sandra, what's up? You start the show? I start the show. Oh, I start the show. Okay. A change in the plan? No, I forgot. Okay, I'll do it. I'll hurry. I think I forgot something. So, please follow me. I will go fast.
Hello everyone and welcome back to yet another edition of an online awards ceremony for this year's European Nature Photographer of the Year competition. Before you ask, it was neither my idea nor my free will to put on this. The producers had the impression that some sort of hipster outfit would go so well with the place. And make a wild guess what kind of place that is. Yes, it is Berlin, one of the greenest and most species-rich capitals in the world. From east to west, sporting sea eagles, boars, foxes, badgers, you name it. And our plan is to take you on a little sightseeing tour to some of the coolest and wildest places of the city. And by that, lifting the secrets off and around the awarded images of this year's competition. First and foremost, though, GDT is very proud to have yet again found another group of expert judges for this competition. Above all, a true legend in nature photography, Jim Brandenburg, accompanied by acclaimed wildlife filmmakers and photographers Victoria Haag, Ophelia de Pablo, Ole Jürgen Leorden and Andrew Parkinson. To all 5 of you, please accept our sincere gratitude for all the effort and dedication that you put in this year's selection process and for all the expertise that shines so wonderfully in this year's images. Well, there we are. Let's get started. Let's head over to our first venue, which is just over there. Hello everyone and welcome to our very first stop during a little stroll here through Germany's wild capital. We have reached one of Berlin's hotspots for birds, and a pretty new one it is too. The 300 hectares surrounding us here once belonged to Berlin's city airport, Berlin-Tempelhof, as you can see over there. Just a few years back, Berlin authorities decided to set it aside as a leisure area for citizens on the one hand and for endangered species on the other. The prairie-like grasslands that you find here are a perfect breeding habitat for more than 200 pairs of skylarks. Over there in the bushy parts you will find red-backed shrikes and northern wheatear. All three of them species that have undergone massive population declines in recent years in other parts of Germany. Biodiversity of birds in Berlin also means peregrine falcons, European cranes, goshawks, golden eyes, all of them species that you would hardly expect in the city. But they are here together with 180 more than in most of our top-class nature reserves and national parks. So, before revealing the runner-up and winner of the category birds, let's have a look at the highly commended images. Here they are. One species that benefits from the many natural water bodies here in Berlin is the crested grebe. And while you can observe it here in the city at close range, our photographer from Belgium, David Patton, had to use a completely different approach. He entered a floating hide on a lake close by to where he lives to get close to his subject, a mother crested grebe with its chick. And he was rewarded with an image in glorious morning light, and here it is, the runner-up in the category birds. I think you will agree that the light was simply beautiful in this image that we just saw, and the perspective as well, very low from a floating height, and it couldn't be more different to the one that Norwegian photographer Terje Kolas took when he was taking his winning image of migrating geese. Here it is, migration. Let's hear from Terje himself how it felt to take this Niels Holgersson perspective to get his winning shot done.
First of all, I want to say thank you to the bird category jury this year. You have made excellent decisions this year. You have proven to be extremely competent this year. And you have showed us all that you have an amazingly good taste when it comes to bird photography this year. So you are definitely my favorite jury this year. Thank you so much. My photo is a result of a dream and a loose plan and some very lucky circumstances. Ever since the small drones made it possible to photograph birds from the air, I have had this dream about making a photo like I am one of the geese in the middle of the flock shots. The challenge is, among others, how to get close enough with the drone without disturbing the birds, and also how to separate the birds from the background when the landscape is very fragmented. The quite rare occasion of the heavy snowfall in late April made a huge difference, because now the snow covered the landscape and made a huge white canvas that made the birds separate quite perfectly well from the background. And even more important, the snowfall made it possible to predict the flyways of the birds. And this way I could wait for the birds up in the air with the drone rather than actually approaching them. And this made it possible to photograph them without doing any disturbance. These conditions lasted for about 2 or 3 days, and I spent so much time waiting for the right moment to happen. It was extremely boring, but it was so worth it. So thank you again. You are the best jury ever.
And here is our Norwegian jury member, Ole Jørgen Liodden, explaining to you why the jury chose this image as the winner of this category.
Hello, my name is Ole Jørgen Liodden, and happy to be one of the jury members of GDT 2021. And this year we had a lot of nice, high quality pictures to look at and discuss. And in the bird category there were many strong pictures, but our favorite was a very extraordinary picture actually, with from a drone with birds in flight. And you get the feeling about being among the birds, flying with them. It's a really impressive image. And also on the ground you can see the dark birds toward the snow. It's really graphically nice picture and a very different picture.
One can simply not do a nature program in or on Berlin without one of the city's wildlife stars. And we see a few of the traces that the boars of Berlin left here alongside this forest road when they were digging up the ground for worms. At times their population was more than 10,000 individuals strong, and they were the ones who were bold enough to roam Berlin's streets, gardens and parks in broad daylight, in front of everyone's eyes. Hunting pressure is low in the city due to prohibition of shooting in urban areas, and so the boars thrived. And so did the populations of many other smaller mammal species, like roe deers, foxes, badgers, raccoons. Their population sizes often exceed those of their relatives outside the city borders in normal nature. So one could think, that sounds very much like a hotspot for nature photographers. No need for hiding, no need for baiting or camouflage. Getting close to the animals made easy by the city. Let's see whether the highly commended photographers in our category Mammals had the luxury of getting close to their subjects easily. When it comes to taking pictures of Europe's most emblematic predators, using a hide is of course a necessity. and the number of images taken at the many popular feeding sites for bears, wolves and wolverines will easily exceed millions. But then, how do you make your own image stand out from the crowd? Here's one nice example by Lassi Rautiainen from Finland, Shadows of the Night, the runner-up in the category Mammals. When I applied for a membership with GDT 25 years ago, there was one simple rule. It is not appropriate to show photographs of an animal's behinds, full stop. Denny Green, our winning photographer from the UK, admits that for similar reasons, his picture of a red deer stag had to grow on him a little bit. Whatever, the jury loved the shot, and here's the winner of the category Mammals, After the Rain. Let's hear from Denny himself what was needed to take this winning image.
Hello everybody. I was really pleased that I've won the mammal category in this GDT. This is a competition that I've always held in high esteem. I've been entering it for so many years, and I've always thought the standard of work that gets entered, and it's just absolutely fantastic really. And it kind of in a way it sums up how we've all been in the pandemic. Wildlife photographers usually travel far and wide to get the pictures, but this image was taken within 5 miles of my hometown really. And I've been photographing the red deer in this location for about, well, just over 30 years, and I've been obsessed with getting pictures of the deer in the rain. So because it's so close to my home, I can drop anything when the weather looks bad, and I can be up in the location where where I'm going to find the deer. And on this particular occasion, it had rained heavily really all morning, and I found this large stag just resting in the back and just sitting out the rain. And so I got in position. I stayed with him for over 2 hours, and then just as the rain started to ease, he slowly got up, and I thought this was the shot that I've been after all this time. I wanted a head-on shot of the stag shaking the water, and it's a fantastic opportunity because it's like an explosion of water as he kind of ripples his whole body to get rid of this excess water. And just at the last minute, he turned around and did this with his like rear end view of me. And at the time, I was really disappointed. I thought that was two hours of my life I wasn't going to get back. I was soaked to the skin myself as well. And but then just really over time, the image slowly but surely kind of like I started to like the image, and it was it goes to show that sometimes these unique aspects can stand out in wildlife photography. So anyway, well done to everybody else. It's a great achievement, and I'm so pleased. So thanks everyone.
Imagine you're planning for a dinner with friends or even a nice barbecue here in Tiergarten and don't really know what to put on the table. Here's a wild suggestion to really pimp it up: Berlin lobsters. Louisiana crayfish, as they are called in real life, have become quite popular amongst hipsters here in the city in recent years. And whether they might know it or not, they even contribute to conservation by eating this highly invasive species. Of course, these non-native crayfish are not the only exotic species here in Berlin. You will find terrapins from Florida, snakes from the Mediterranean or Africa, and even Asian lizards, all released by their owners because they outgrew the places they were kept in. So let's see if we can find some other exotic animals from Berlin in the collection of highly commended images of the category Other Animals. So make a wild guess. What was the exotic species that I was referring to earlier on? Believe it or not, it is the praying mantis that has a very healthy population at a place that we are going to see very soon at Schöneberger Südgelände. Onwards with the runner-up in the category Other Animals by Pedro Javier Pascual from Spain, who did a splendid job in capturing all the beauty of Spanish lunar moth. What a beautiful animal, and what a wonderful shot indeed. Thinking back about our invasive species here in Berlin once again, the creature featured in the winning image of this category surely has to be from a different planet, or it sprung right out of the brains of the producers of Jurassic World. Let's have a look what Swedish photographer Jan Peterson found when he was cruising down a river in Central America. A rather simple setup, so few ingredients but still so powerful. Hats off to you, Jan, and over to you sharing with us the story behind your image.
Hi, I'm Jan Peterson from Stockholm, standing here at the edge of Stockholm and at the brink of autumn. I'm very happy and honored to win the Other Animal category with an image of a green basilisk from the Rio Frio River and northern Costa Rica. It's taken at the riverbank, nearly the same place with which I took an image that made the runner-up in last year's competition in the bird category. And always when I'm at that river, I'm looking for dark areas. I'm looking for shadow areas where I hope to see some kind of animals with reflection of light. And as with the heron, I saw the green basilisk just shining from it, the green fluorescent light reflecting. And I asked the boat driver to go back because I could sort of see that if I underexposed, I would get a nice pattern with the twigs and the lovely, lovely green from the basilisk. And so the image came by. I'm very happy and honored to be the winner in the GDT competition, for which I hold very high regard. It's a very artistic competition, and so I just want to say thanks to all, and cheers and bye from Stockholm.
After these mainly animal-dominated categories for the beginning, let's move on to the next one. Plants and fungi. And what place could be better suited in Berlin than one of the city's 890,000 allotments? Renting one of these Laube, as they call it here, has become more than just a trend amongst young urban professionals and families. It's an own culture, really. People come here to do a bit of gardening, to do a bit of small holding, but mainly to socialize, to relax, and to get away from their stressful office and urban environments. Together with the larger community gardens, these little super gardens here have transformed the city into a flowering bouquet of biodiversity hotspots. We thought it would be a perfect place to introduce to you the highly commended images of the category Plants and Fungi. That really was a wonderful set of images, but not too many pictures of flowers actually. Here's one that comes close. Wood Nymphs by Juan Jesus González Ahumada from Spain, the runner-up in the category Plants and Fungi. German photographer Tobias Richter traveled to the German-Czech border in late autumn during very severe weather. On his memory card, when he came back from this trip, he found an image that he entitled Hoarfrost, and that was chosen by the jury as the winner of the category Plants and Fungi. Now let's hear from Tobias himself what the situation really looked like when he got there.
Hallo, ich bin Tobias Richter und ich bin Naturfotograf aus Sachsen. Ich freue mich sehr über meine Auszeichnung in der Kategorie Pflanzen und besonders freue ich mich dabei, dass ich mit einem Bild aus dem Elbsandsteingebirge gewinnen konnte, weil das genau die Region ist, die ich jetzt seit ca. 10 Jahren intensiv fotografisch bearbeite und die mir besonders am Herzen liegt. Mein Bild ist Anfang November letzten Jahres entstanden und das Elbsandsteingebirge ist ja noch nicht gerade bekannt für sehr schneereiche Winter oder sehr kühle Bedingungen, aber trotzdem gibt es fast jedes Jahr im Herbst die Chance, dass sich über dem böhmischen Becken eine Inversionswetterlage bildet und wenn die dann so wie im letzten Jahr extrem lange vorherrscht, dann kühlt sich der Bereich unter diesen niedrigen Wolken so stark ab, dass es bis in den Frostbereich geht. Dann kann es zu dem interessanten Phänomen wie letztes Jahr kommen, dass ich hier am Nordrand des Erzgebirges ca. eine Autostunde entfernt bei 12 Grad im sonnigen Wetter starten kann, dann über den Kamm des Erzgebirges bzw. der böhmischen Schweiz in den Nebel hineinfahre und dort dann tiefwinterliche Bedingungen herrschen. Es waren vielleicht -5 Grad und im dichten Nebel bildet sich dann extremer Raureif. Mein Ziel war es, genau diesen Raureif mit einem Windflüchter auf den Tiesaer Wänden zu fotografieren. Und dazu wollte ich die Struktur des Raureifes in den Vordergrund stellen, aber trotzdem noch etwas von der Umgebung fotografieren. Ich bin also auf den Felsen am Kamm entlang gewandert und habe einen Baum gesucht, der besonders starke, besonders schöne Struktur hat und bin bei dieser Birke hier fündig geworden und freue mich sehr, dass das die Jury überzeugt hat. Wünsche allen noch einen schönen Abend und auch Glückwunsch an die anderen Gewinner. Dankeschön.
Very often borders have been drawn along rivers and creeks, just like the little Tegeler Fleece that we see here behind me. And this Tegeler Fleece is proof of that, because it marked the border between the former DDR and West Berlin, the death strip between the city and the outsides. This place has not seen much human influence. It still consists of large wet meadows, bits and pieces of forest here and there, and the odd bog. And a place in the bog is exactly what the origin of the Slavonic word Berlin refers to, a place in the bog. Berlin still has many of these wild areas, many of them now put aside as nature or landscape reserves. And seen from the air, you can see a true mosaic of these green areas spreading across Berlin, providing important corridors for wildlife. Even though this place might look quite wild, it is of course not the go-to location for any dedicated landscape photographer. Therefore, let's have a look at some real wilderness with the highly commended images in the category Landscapes. Gorgeous light and beautiful compositions really in truly wild places. Congratulations to all the photographers of the highly commended images in the category landscapes. Now let's have a look at the runner-up picture by Jelena Pakalyuk from Ukraine, When Autumn Meets Winter. After seeing Jelena's beautiful image, I think you might agree that female photographers very often bring a wonderful mindset to nature photography. And a winning image in the category Landscapes by Annette Mosbacher from Germany is a very fine example of that. Here is Tree of Life. In a short video clip now, Annette Mosbacher will share with you how and where she took her winning photograph.
Hi, my name is Annette Mosbacher. I'm a nature photographer. Well, how did I accomplish to get that image? It was, I came back from Sossusvlei to Swakopmund and got a note from a friend that there's lots of water running down the waterfalls at the northern border to Namibia. They were always on my bucket list. One I accomplished already, that was the Epupa Falls, but the Ruacana I never saw so far with water coming down. It's just because on the other side, on the Angolian border, or in Angola, is a dam, and they open only the tap when they want to. So you only have then lots of water coming down the waterfalls when you have lots of rain, of course. Anyway, next morning at 5 o'clock with the first light on the horizon, I was leaving Swakopmund, driving straight up to the northern border to the Ruacana Falls. So I arrived there around 6 o'clock in the evening, but that was not enough time to have a look and to scout a little bit what you can take images of. So next morning I was looking around a bit, was scouting early morning, and found the spot with lots of climbing and bleeding hands, bleeding knee. Anyway, so in the afternoon at 3:40 I was going there and was just waiting until the shade was coming down slowly down into the valley, and I was hoping that it will still go up to the tree, what it did just for me. Thanks so much for choosing my image.
And here is Victoria Haak sharing some of the thoughts of the jury with you about the winning image.
Hello, my name's Victoria Haak, and I feel really lucky to have been able to look through so many beautiful images for this competition. So I'm going to give you a few reasons why we selected this particular shot as the winner of the landscape category. So overall, our first impression was one of absolutely beautiful textures and light, and the contrast of light and shadow in this image. As we looked at it more closely, noticing those beautiful intersecting diagonals, so the intersection of the land and water coming down from the top right of the frame, and then a beautiful shaft of light coming in from the left. And the opposition of the textures of the rocks and the smooth long exposure water. So overall the image just had one of a feeling of real calm and serenity and beautiful light, even though I'm sure that it really wasn't very calm and quiet for this shot, probably lots of raging water. Anyway, congratulations to our landscape winner.
Yikes. Go to Berlin, they said. It's a hot city, it's a fun place to be, yeah. But for whom, please? Well, now that I'm in this anyway, I can also tell you that this little channel here leads into Berlin's biggest freshwater lake, the Müggelsee. And I was actually hoping to show you some of the fascinating biodiversity of the underwater world. Shoal of roach maybe, or young pike, or even some colorful perch, but hey, now at least I know why most of the photographers prefer to work in much warmer waters. In the following you will see 8 examples of our highly commended images in the category underwater, taken in a little more exotic marine places around the world. Have fun. Some really exciting views of the underwater world, won't you agree? And here's another nice example by our runner-up in the category underwater, Tobias Friedrich. Whilst we have exploited the fish stocks of our marine environments by a massive amount, there are still some strictly protected areas where you will find loads of baitfish. And where baitfish are, predators are not far. Fabrice Guérin is the winner of the category underwater with his winning image, Water Ballet. Fabrice was kind enough to provide us with a video explaining where and how he took this fabulous shot.
Hello to all, I'm very proud and happy to receive this award in this prestigious international nature contest. Even more happy because I took this picture in a region that is very dear to my heart, Baja California in Mexico. In this place, nature is still wild and underwater encounters are unique. Each season is the opportunity to observe many marine species that make the show. When you are a photographer, you know that at any moment the action can happen. There, it's like that. In one day, you can see a ballet of sea lions hunting in a huge school of fish, the brace of a whale, mobulas and dolphins jumping, sharks. So, I wanted to show with my picture this special atmosphere, wild and magic. Congratulations to all the winners and thanks again to the jury and to the organizers for this contest, which show us once again that nature is beautiful and fragile and that we must do everything to preserve it. Thank you.
Look around, isn't this just an absolutely marvelous place? Despite the sound of the highway that leads into the city center, as soon as you enter the premises of the Südwestkirchhof Stahnsdorf, right here at the border of Berlin, you feel you're in the middle of wilderness. A wilderness, of course, that is man-made and man-managed, but still it provides 200 hectares of prime habitat for roe deer, wild boar, foxes, badgers, goshawks, long-eared owls, just to name a few. It has all the ingredients that urban animals need to prosper. Very strict opening hours that you can, as an animal, easily adjust your daily whereabouts to. It has plenty of space, small and big, to securely raise your young. And there's a lot of food wherever you go. So simply put, this is paradise. Of course, though, this is just one side of the coin in our category man and nature, as the other side is often so much more painful to look at, so disgusting and so shameful for us humans that it almost hurts taking pictures of it. The highly commended and awarded images in this category will provide you with a glimpse of this often very ambiguous relation between us humans and the natural world. Here they are. Our runner-up photographer, Marcus Westberg from Sweden, has been into many situations throughout his photographic career where other photographers may have struggled pointing their cameras at what they were seeing. He submitted an image of a very iconic animal displayed behind bars that raises many questions about the pros and cons of our human-made concept of captive breeding. But see for yourselves. As important as these rather disturbing images are, we also need our photographers to point their lenses at all the positive examples out there, the examples where well-managed human and wildlife interaction takes place and works for both their benefit. And here's one nice example by Swedish photographer Magnus Lundgren, the winner of the category Man and Nature, Diving and Shark Conservation. Congratulations to Magnus Lundgren, who will now take you right into the scene and explain how and where this shot was taken.
Hello, my name is Magnus Lundgren and I'm a photographer from Sweden, and I'm very honored and happy to be the winner of the category Man and Nature in GDT's competition. My image of the shark swimming among a lot of underwater photographers is about man and shark diving and conservation, because in many places in the world where we do shark diving, the sharks become protected because they have an economic value to the locals around there. And that is a positive side of shark diving, of course. And secondly, the image is also about the myths around sharks, because most people see them as man-eaters, very dangerous and aggressive animals. And I have done thousands of dives with sharks, and it's very fascinating, and I find them very timid and shy most of the time. So this image is challenging the myths and around the sharks. So that's about the story about this image, and I just want to thank GDT for this super nice prize, and I hope everybody will think about what they order next time they're gonna go to the restaurant. Don't eat too much fish, more vegetables. Thank you.
Finally, our jury member Ofelia de Pablo will reveal to you why they decided that this image should be the winner of the category Man and Nature.
Hi, I'm Ofelia de Pablo, and it's really an honor to be part of this great jury. Also in this special occasion, the 5th anniversary of the GDT contest. Congratulations. About the winner in nature category, Magnus Landgren, and his incredible image. This is special not only for the beauty of the symmetry. This is really special for the deep angle inside the story behind the story. And these wild sharks, surrounded by a lot of divers in a kind of photo call, it reveals how we treat nature. And we were discussing a lot during the judging that we have to be to use our cameras as a tool to denounce the situation, to denounce this kind of behaviors, and I think this is a really great example of this. Congratulations, Magnus, great work.
Berlin's graffiti community definitely makes great use of the walls and tunnels of this former marshalling yard, don't you think? Many of the elements that they use for their artwork, colors, lines, shapes and forms especially, have always been an integral part of the photographs submitted to our next category, Nature Studio. We are filming this right in the heart of the city of Berlin, at Schöneberger Südgelände, where nature did what it does best when left alone and spared from any human impact. Between 1952 and 2000, when the area was closed for public access, it was transformed under the powerful regime of nature into something really beautiful, a safe haven for many plants and animals specially adapted to dry and semi-dry habitats. While animals and plants like the place for their own sake, people love to come here because of the great accessibility of the area after a long day in the office to take a wonderful stroll among the greens. Let's have a look at the arty pictures of this year's highly commended images in the category Nature Studio. As you have just seen, pictures taken with drones can deliver a truly fascinating view of a two-dimensional landscape that we ourselves apprehend so completely differently from the ground. Marco Gagliotti from Italy took his drone to Africa and found a scene that reminded him a lot to life on Mars. A picture that the jury awarded was the runner-up of this category. While I stated that graphic elements are very often quite prominent in the images of this category, photographers may also find an artistic approach to their subjects by exploring the technicalities of their equipment. The image The Boss by Francis de Andrés is a very fine example of that. Here's the winner of the category Nature Studio. And here's Francis himself revealing the secret behind his winning image.
Hello, my name is Francis de Andrés. Thank you very much for choosing my photograph as the winner of the Nature Studio category. It's a grand honor to see my photograph here. The photograph was taken on the Salty Islands. I usually have in mind to photograph in different ways. Some documentary photography and some more creative photography. The photograph is taken in single exposure. To make this photograph, I put a filter in front of the camera lens and photographed different moments in the garnet colony. If I remember correctly, I think this image is from a series of about 20 images, all very different. When I come to selecting the image, I like this one, where the garnet is looking down on the garnet colony from the rock. Many thanks to the jury and all the members who made GDT the most prestigious photo contest in Europe. Thank you very much and see you.
As the images in this category very often lead to a rather controversial and at the same time fascinating debate, let's hear what the jury felt about the winning images, in the words of Andrew Parkinson.
I have a genuine passion for gannets, having spent many years myself photographing them, and there was something about this image that immediately grabbed my attention. There is a uniqueness about the focusing, and especially about the composition and about the perspective. The photographer almost appears to be underneath the gannet looking up. And of course, for us as judges, we're looking for complete images where the foreground, the background complement each other. And there's so much going on in this image, especially for me, one of the anchor points is the courting gannets behind. So it was a very, very straightforward decision. For me personally, this was the standout image in this category.
I know that this next category in the competition is very dear to many of you. We are now looking at the submissions of the young photographers, especially now those 14 years and under. And we have seen in the past that there's already so much talent, so much passion and love for nature and photography. It was really overwhelming to see the pictures that these young guys handed in. And it is no different this year. Let's have a look at the runner-up in the category of the young photographers aged 14 years and under, Raphael Schenker from Switzerland with his picture Shadow Hunter. When I look back at my own photographic career, when the Wildlife Photographer of the Year competition was really young, I was trying very, very hard to win the Eric Hosking Award that was dedicated to photographers 26 years and under and their portfolios. I had one single but very, very big problem though, Vincent Munier. As soon as he submitted images, I was sure I would lose. And in this age group here, there's one photographer that the other ones have to look out for, especially by the name of Andrés Luis Dominguez. He's from Spain and he has already won this category last year, and guess what? He did it again with a wonderful image called Spring Singer. Now Andres Luis wants to share with you how and where he took this fabulous image.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Andrés y es un día muy especial para mí por ser el ganador de nuevo en la categoría hasta 14 años, en la GDT. Es para mí uno de los concursos más importantes de Europa y por ello estoy muy contento. Aunque le dedico muchas horas a la fotografía, sobre todo en este lugar, esta imagen fue algo que no me lo esperaba. Yo estaba haciendo fotos a una pareja de mozuelos en una encina desde la ventanilla trasera del coche de mi padre. Al otro lado teníamos girasoles y de pronto vi un pájaro que era precioso e inquieto, cantando de girasol en girasol. Era el zarcero común, que llegaba todos los años en primavera para criar. Al llegar a uno de los girasoles más altos y más bonitos, le pude hacer varias fotografías y una de ellas ha sido la ganadora. Mi enhorabuena también a todos los premiados y al trabajo hecho por la organización. Por último, dedico el premio a mi familia por el apoyo que me dan. Saludos a todos.
The photographers in our next category of the 15 to 17-year-olds are in an age where their photographic skills reach a new level. Just like their endurance, their patience, their natural history knowledge, they might find a passion for a certain animal, a habitat or a photographic style. And they get creative in how they compose their images and about the choice of their subjects. Emilien Dupieux from France is a good example of that. Here is his runner-up image, Amid the Storm. Whilst you wouldn't necessarily connect lowland France with blizzards and deep snow, Finland really lives up to its reputation in our next image in this category. Lasse Kurkela travelled all the way up north to the Finnish taiga around Kuusamo to spend a few days photographing Siberian jays. And here is his winning image in the category of the young photographers 15 to 17 years, Forest of the Siberian Jay. Let's hear from Lasse himself what it was like to be up there with these nice birds in the Finnish taiga.
Hello, I'm Lasse Kurkela. I'm 18 years old and I live in Kauniainen, nearby the Finnish capital of Helsinki. I enjoy nature photography and being out in nature in general. Thank you. I'm very honored to have won the youth category in this year's GDT European Wildlife Photographer of the Year. I took this picture on Christmas Day in Kuusamo, Finland. I had been photographing Siberian jays a lot in the years before, so this time I wanted to try a new angle, one that would highlight their beautiful habitat. By placing my camera with a wide-angle lens on the snow and using a remote control, I was able to photograph from the ground up and capture a sense of being in the forest, which I really enjoy. Getting this picture took a lot of effort as I had to keep tweaking the camera settings and placement. I also needed to find a spot where the birds would come and fly over the camera as wanted. All in all, it took me 4 days and 1,500 pictures just to get this one. In this picture, a Siberian jay is flying with a piece of food in its mouth in order to hide it in lichen and usnea that grow on the trees. This behavior of continuously storing food helps them survive over the cold, dark winter in this boreal habitat. This behavior also makes the birds curious and approach people quite bravely, which makes them very fun to photograph, which is why I keep coming back to photograph them. Thank you very much again and congratulations to the other winners.
I think there were some true gems here that we just saw of young nature photography, fresh views, just what we are aiming at with this category. A big congratulations to all of you who submitted your work and to the awarded winners especially. Let's move on with the Fritz Perking Prize. Over the years, the Fritz Prize has really turned into an institution of itself within the European Nature Photographer of the Year competition. In recognition of the work of world-famous photographer and long-time president of the GDT, Fritz Pölking, it is dedicated to photographers showcasing their work in a portfolio, not only in a single image. It can be either on a certain landscape or habitat, on a species, or it could be a story in itself. We're now looking at the Fritz Pölking Junior Prize, won by Emile Séchault from France with his series entitled In the Kingdom of the Ibex. Emile was very nice to provide us with a video telling us the story behind his images that he took for this award.
Hello, my name is Emile Séchault and I come from the French Alps, from the Haute-Savoie region. When I learned I won the Fritz Pölking Junior Prize, I felt so happy because it's because the portfolio I sent is something I very close to my heart because I love photographing these species, the ibex, into this environment, the French Alps, and I was so happy to have this prize with that particular project. What I love about these animals are their shape, because when you see an ibex on a crest, even if it's very far from you, you identify it very quickly and you know, oh, that's a magnificent male ibex. Also, they love going into steep places or crests or places that are very impressive, and you feel how can they go there, and that's what I love about them. I feel lucky to live in the north of the French Alps, which is a region where I have many mountains, many different mountains around me. So I tried to do the photos of this series in these different locations, which all have a particular flair. So in some are very steep, very minor with a lot of rocks. Some other are have a lot of grass, green grass, which ibex loves, and also you can find ice, glacier, and a lot of different landscapes, and that's I love to show on the pictures. You can photograph the ibex in location where they are very easy to get close to, because they see a lot of people every time. But what I prefer is when I go to a place where I know not a lot of people go there. So usually these places are places where you need to walk very long moment, and so sometimes very high denivellation also. When I finally find a place, I I am so happy that I could spend hours and hours there without moving a toe, and I forget everything about the world, the modern world I live in, and yeah, I have completely different matters, and that's what I love. When you are passionate by wildlife photography, you often love to travel and to go into a good location for pictures. For example, I went to Norway or to Australia, and I met them amazing animals and landscapes, everything. But what I love about all on the series on the ibex is that I did it near home, and I think it's quite important now to try to find animals not so far and not travel so much, because we can see we have a great nature and great animals here in Europe, and also for the environmental impact of planes, that it's quite important.
I think we do not really have to introduce the upcoming photographer to you who wins this year's Fritz Perking Prize. He has been the overall winner of the European Nature Photographer of the Year competition last year with a very strong single image from a series about monkeys. Now he is back with a new story from Uganda entitled Nsenene. As this is such a special story and such a special place to be, we are very happy that Jasper sent us some really nice video footage from his work, sharing with you how and where he took these incredible images.
Like the monkey story last year, this story is reminding us how our traditions can turn into a problem if we continue to overexploit our planet. So in Uganda you have this tradition of harvesting grasshoppers as a delicacy, and they are indeed delicious. I've tried it many times and I've enjoyed it many times. They harvest these grasshoppers, they cook and boil them, and for them it's a traditional treat that they eat like we eat chips or nuts with a beer. So they use these oil drums, these large containers that they usually use to ship oil, and they have metal sheets coming out of those, and they use artificial lights during the night, very bright lighting compared to the way you would light up a soccer stadium. It's insane how bright these lights are. And they use the lights to attract the grasshoppers, and then they come down from the sky and they want to sit on these reflecting metal sheets, and then they slide down and they fall into these barrels, and the barrels, they have oil inside, so they cannot crawl out of them, and that's how they sometimes harvest over 100 barrels per night per setup. It's a big business, and people even change their profession during Nsenene season, during the grasshopper season, where you could be a baker, you could be working at a clothing store, you could work at the bank. But no, during Nsenene season, you change your profession and you invest in being a harvester, or you're being part of a harvest party. Because people can easily make a year's salary during those 2 months that you can harvest those grasshoppers. to harvest these grasshoppers and to photograph these grasshoppers, it can be quite dangerous because they use these halogen lights, also used for security reasons, where they take off the glass protection bulb and you only have the glowing spiral of the lamp, which of course is very bright, and then they amplify the power input on the lamp by 3 or 4 times. So you have a super bright light that radiates UVC. And UVC radiation is the worst UV radiation that you can have. It's more harmful than the UVB that we protect ourselves against when we put sunscreen on. This UVC is the reason that many people end up with skin cancer when harvesting these grasshoppers. And it's also very damaging to your eyes. You cannot look straight into them because then you just go blind. And for me, photographing this was a real challenge because especially with the wide scenes, you want to be able to see the whole setup and you want to see the landscape with those lights in it. And fortunately we have mirrorless cameras these days, which allowed me to just look at the LCD screen instead of looking through the viewfinder straight into these bright lights. So that saved my day. But for the people who harvest these grasshoppers, it is certainly a risk. And there are people having eye problems, there are people having skin problems. But for the money, they're willing to do anything. We traveled not only to one location, but we traveled to many locations in Uganda, and everywhere we came we heard that the annual numbers were going down and that their harvest was not as good as it used to be in the past. That means that they harvest more and more of these grasshoppers out of the ecosystem without knowing actual numbers. They don't know population size, they don't know the conditions they need. There's not a lot of science that has been done on the species. They don't actually know where they come from. So that makes it really complicated. If you have a growth in the demand and you harvest more without knowing anything about population size, you don't have to be a scientist to realize that in the end something will possibly go wrong. And that's what they're seeing now. The local people are seeing less and less grasshoppers during the night. And it's like a warning signal. So currently Makerere University in Kampala is looking into possibilities of rearing grasshoppers in captivity, which could eventually have a big impact on the whole ecosystem, because they would still be able to increase numbers by rearing them in captivity in large numbers to provide them to the local markets. And by doing so, you would not have the same pressure on the ecosystem as you would have when you harvest from the ecosystem itself. So that would certainly provide opportunities, but it's a matter of acceptance if that will succeed. It is a matter of acceptance with the local population if this rearing in captivity will succeed, because it's the same as we have here in Europe, where we're trying to create this artificial meat. They might be able to do so, but as a consumer, are we going to accept it? Are we willing to eat the product? Are we willing to believe that the product is as good and as tasty and as healthy as it is when you have it from the natural ecosystem? It's also a matter if the market is willing to accept the product. And that's the biggest challenge now, is to convince the harvesters that it's more profitable to look into possibilities to raise these animals in captivity than harvesting them from the ecosystem itself, because they just say, oh, this can't be done. We make a lot of money through the harvest business, so stay out of your way, university. We don't need you. We can fix things ourselves. And that's the fight now that is the most challenging for the people in the university, for the researchers, as for the ecosystem. And for people living in Western Europe or the United States, when they see a story like this, I think, or at least I hope, that they are willing to reconsider their beef consumption and that they feel invited to start eating insects. Because I really believe that is a more sustainable path, and if people in Uganda are able to create a sustainable model for eating insects in that way, then why shouldn't we? I have to admit that at first, when I ate my first grasshopper, I had goosebumps all over just because of the idea of eating an insect. But I have to admit they're really delicious, and I miss them. I would like to have them as a snack this afternoon. And it is a more sustainable model, and I think that's the way we need to head towards.
As we are in Berlin, we decided we should maybe follow Jasper's advice and try some crickets for ourselves. We found some, of course, as you will find most of the things you would like to eat in this big city. So this is actually the first time for me tasting them. I don't know whether I will have any goosebumps as soon as I put them in the mouth, but let's just try. Bit salty, nutty, really nice, especially the head. Now, this is the time you have all been waiting for, right? This is when we are going to announce the overall winner of this year's European Nature Photographer of the Year competition. And I happen to know a super nice place where this announcement should be made. Come on, follow me. Hola, Pacho.
¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien,
Buenos
gracias,
días.
muy bien.
¿Qué tal estás?
¿Me pones lo de siempre?
Claro que sí, hombre. Pasa y
Gracias,
ponte
perfecto.
cómodo.
Gracias, gracias.
Muy bien, Florian.
¡Qué pinta, Pacho! Muchas gracias.
Un poquito de embutidos y de
Gracias,
queso.
gracias.
Nada, a ti por venir.
Perfecto, gracias.
Buen provecho.
Here we are, comfortably seated in this wonderful little tapas bar in Berlin, Kreuzberg, La Bizzarra. And Pacho, the owner, is on a mission here, really. He only orders food from small enterprises that he personally knows, aiming to provide his customers with super yummy ham and cheese that is sustainably produced at a very good price. Unfortunately, Pacho's approach has not yet turned into a role model in Europe's world of high-fly, high-intensity, fast-paced agriculture, a fact that sometimes leads to severe ecological damage, not only on land, but also at sea, as you will soon learn from the story behind our overall winning image. And here it is. Please give a big hand to Medusa Ballet by Angel Fitor from Spain. Let me quickly introduce to you the man behind the camera of this wonderful image, Angel Fitor from Spain. He looks at a career of decades in professional underwater photography, aiming to raise awareness for the marine's ecosystems all around the globe. His work has been awarded in many of the major international competitions like the Sony World Photography Awards, World Press Photo and Wildlife Photographer of the Year. Angel strongly believes in the potential of photography to bring about change on pressing environmental issues. And here he is himself, Angel Fitor, the overall winner of GDT's European Nature Photographer of the Year competition 2021. Cheers, Angel.
Good evening, everyone. It's been an absolutely unexpected success, and it's been a totally overwhelming feeling. This is the first time that I have an overall winning in a photo competition, and it's not about that. It's about the picture that has won this competition. It's a very special picture to me. It does not only represent my vision of nature, my approach to nature, but it also represents one of my most beloved places in my area, the places that I've been working for so many years. So I'm really thankful and absolutely thrilled to this award. Thank you very much. It's a Mediterranean jellyfish. It's also so called the fried egg jellyfish because of the special shape of the umbrella. It's actually one of the most common jellyfish species in the Mediterranean. And the picture was taken in a place called La Manga, which is a sandbar. It's a 22-kilometer sandbar, which encloses the lagoon of Mar Menor. The lagoon is a very special place. It has very specific conditions, oceanographic conditions. It's a hypersaline lagoon with extreme temperature variations through the year, and the fact is that Mar Menor actually was never too diverse, simply because of that special conditions. But it held exceptionally high densities of some truly exceptional species. This is the case for seahorses and jellyfish. The literature cites the lagoon once held the highest population density of long-snouted seahorse in the whole world. And without going into further statistics, during the 90s, I personally witnessed more than, let's say, 50 seahorses of all sizes and colors during just half an hour of snorkeling at just a meter depth. That was unique and wonderful. Well, actually, the seahorse, it's a kind of flag for the whole Mar Menor. It's like a symbol. It's like an icon of the Mar Menor. Actually, many small towns by the shores of Mar Menor has seahorse statues and symbols on the streets and so on. And it also belongs to the collective memories of all the children that were raised on Mar Menor. Well, now I'm going to dive in Mar Menor. It's a very sad feeling. It's a truly sad feeling. It's not only because of what I'm seeing, it's because I've seen those same places for all of my life, but absolutely full of life, with clear water, lots of underwater vegetation, jellyfish, seahorses, and many other species. Now, if you go now to Mar Menor, what you will find is destruction, is darkness. It's a bed, a lagoon bed, which is virtually made of mud and troubled water, and a few remains of the life that once was over there. Essentially, the problem in Mar Menor has been an outsized, misplanned agriculture development, and in second term, the massive tourism building development for the last 60 years. It has actually now become a paradigm for bad planning, for corruption, for lack of mid and long-term vision. And the most relevant consequence of these practices, and the one where the lagoon has crushed, has been the eutrophication of its waters. It's very simple. Too much nutrients in a virtually closed system ended up by massive blooms of phytoplankton that consume all oxygen available in the water, which trouble the water, which in turn killed the seagrass and the seaweed, and that initially were the engine of the lagoon's life. There has been several episodes since the 90s, but also in the last 5 years has been especially destructive. This summer we all have seen on the news the mass dead episodes happening in Mar Menor. This is actually the end of the line of a very long process of degradation that started somehow 60 years ago. But at the same time, it's what's making people to finally take action in the problem of Mar Menor. Because we are essentially visual animals and we need to see the things happening. It's very sad in one hand that we need to reach to the extremes to take action, but finally we are taking action, and I think that we need to keep that. That's the good thing, that we are now taking action. My picture was taken in 2014, and that was the season before the mass episodes of dead fish and green water really started. And in a way, it's a picture that now has become a kind of memory, a kind of tribute to what the lagoon once was. Given that the most relevant part of the problem are the vast crops of industrial agriculture around the lagoon, which are actually called Europe's orchard, I would strongly encourage people, consumers, to track the origin of the veggies they take and make sure that they are produced in a sustainable way. Otherwise, the healthy food might be hiding dead seahorses and many other creatures among their leaves. Photography and overall speaking, photojournalism has a great power. This is the power of visualize the issues, visualize all those problems. It's not a minor power, but at the same time it's often overestimated in a society that has sadly learned to live side by side every day with the environmental and human disgrace. Sadly, we had lost sensitivity. At the same speed, the bar of daily drama is being raised higher and higher. And I think that we are now trapped in a very dangerous spiral. In a way, we are playing the ostrich game. And I'm afraid saying that naivety is simply not an option. And yet, prisoner of my own contradictions as a photojournalist, I don't want to give up. That must be the human nature.
Greetings, colleagues. I'm speaking to you today from my home in the central North America on the edge of the grand wilderness of the Boundary Waters Canoe Area and the Quetico Provincial Park in Canada, which you can see just over my shoulder. The Canadian wilderness stretches far, and I'm so fortunate to live right on the edge of it. I was asked to judge this grand GDT photo competition, and it reminds me of going into the wilderness a little bit. It's full of wonder, excitement, sometimes a little bit of danger. Not this year, though, of course. I had a beautiful team of harmonious and gracious team members, but we plowed through thousands and thousands of images. This is a mysterious, otherworld-like image that deserves a lot of recognition, and hopefully it will go on to speak for the environmental causes that it portrays in his region. The mass media hopefully will get a hold of it and speak of not only the beauty and the graciousness, but the wonderful composition and the magic that it portrays. And it's too bad we all can't be together, but hope to see you soon, and good travels to all of you. Thank you.
Well then, children, everyone, what have we learned from tonight's program? Can anyone tell? Well, I think you all will agree that we saw a very strong selection of images tonight, from the awarded images in each category across the work of our young photographers to the high impact portfolios of the Fritz Perking Award, and finally our overall winner with this super surreal ocean scene by Angel Fitor. Simply wonderful. Thank you so much for submitting your work. It has been a great pleasure to work with it. Tonight's photos have shown a great deal of biodiversity from all across the world, and as we all should know since long, this very biodiversity is key to our own human survival. So here's a little call to all of you. Please use your photography to keep pushing the conservation agenda. Reach out to magazines, publishing houses, galleries, art forums. Make your images speak, and reach out, more importantly, to your local politicians, to decision makers on a regional level. That's what we all need. Make your photographers speak out, because strong photographs, your photographs, can make a difference. And finally, if I could have one more personal wish, please let's meet again. In a special place like Lünen at the Festival of GDT, where we can share our thoughts about nature photography, about all the stories and victories, the adventures and all the nice photographs that we took in the past 2 years where we were not allowed to meet. See you there, stay focused and keep up the great work.
Many thanks, Florian. Wow, such a lot of great pictures. So many funny, sad and inspiring stories. Congratulations to all the winners. Your photos have been selected from almost 20,000 pictures from more than 1,000 photographers. Congratulations again on this great achievement. And to all of you who didn't achieve a honorable mention or a prize, thank you so much for entering this contest. Please don't worry if your pictures have not been chosen. Even if your photos have not been awarded, they are a part of European Wildlife Photographer of the year 2021. Your trust in our work means everything to us. For now, I'm looking forward to seeing the exhibition on the road. Our thanks go out to everyone who helped make this year's competition such a great event again. First of all, our premium partner, the former Olympus, now OM Digital Solutions, Canon, RC Photo and the Tecklenburg Verlag. Thank you very much. I would like to note that you can order this wonderful book on the competition with all the winning images and the background stories from Tecklenburg Verlag. If we have learned anything from the pandemic, it is that we humans are social animals. Without our friends, life becomes dull and devoid. You all know that we were heartbroken by the second cancellation of our festival due to the pandemic. All our hopes are now directed towards next year. I think we're on a good way, and with some justification one can believe that we'll all meet again in Lünen in 1 year. Until then, I wish you a good time. Stay healthy, stay creative, and have a great life. Thank you very much. Cheers!
Aha! He entered a floating height on a lake nearby to his home and was rewarded. What a beautiful shot, indeed. Second, you have many places, big and small, to securely raise your young. And third, smash. Disgusting. So turning and twisting. I almost swallowed. Sorry. One species that benefits from them what benefits fit in? A fairly simple theme.
There we go!
What's that?
I've been
come
waiting
on.
for it since the very beginning.
Here we go. Wildlife. No, wrong. Please come back.
It's a helicopter now.
Yeah, for a change. Cannot always be planes, I mean, come on. The Fritz Polking Prize has turned into an institution of its own. With it, the GDT